Welcome to this week in the world of wrestling.
Welcome to TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John, that's my cohort and commentary Ashton, and this is our NXT review. Tonight's episode of NXT, I enjoyed it. I thought we got some quality matchups. We got 2 matches confirmed for the next NXT TakeOver May 20th, so we got progression in that regard. The main feud, I think, got some furthering that I really enjoyed, and it had quite a brilliant ending to this episode of NXT that I think we both thoroughly enjoyed. Ashton, what did you think of tonight's episode?
Yeah, it was pretty solid. I would say, as far as, like, if we were grading on a curve, meaning, like, rather than basing this on what everything in the wrestling world does, we're only basing it on, like, something relative to other NXT shows, it's, like, pretty average, actually. Like, maybe, like, a 6 out of 10 on the NXT scale. But, like, still, like, an 8 out of 10 on the general scale.
Yeah, I'd agree with that overall assessment of the situation. So, with that said, let's get right into our first segment, Heat of the Night. I have 0 heats of the night tonight. This show is very straightforward in what it wanted to do. I think it accomplished all of its tasks quite wonderfully, especially in regards to the main storyline, that being Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. So I have no complaints about tonight's episode.
You know what? I don't have any heats tonight, but I do have a nitpick.
All right, let's have it out.
Kevin Owens made this big deal, like, oh, what did Sami Zayn do to earn a shot at this championship? I get the way they did it, and I loved Sami Zayn's promo, but to me, why? Because that kind of made Kevin Owens look stupid. Like, he's supposed to be this really smart, cerebral, like, he's playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers kind of guy, where he's, like, playing these mind games with everyone, but then Sami Zayn manages to outsmart him. And even though that's awesome for Zayn, it seemed like that whole situation could have been avoided if Regal would have just brought up the fact that Sami Zayn is entitled to a rematch because he hasn't gotten one yet.
And you're certainly right there. I think they just wanted to further the point that Kevin Owens is kind of clouded by fear. I think they kind of set the groundwork for that the week, prior, last week when Zayn does the dive off the top and you see Kevin Owens just scrambling with this look on his face just to get away from Sami Zayn. So I think the story now is that Sami Zayn is playing this kind of mental, intellectual warfare with Kevin Owens, and he's really taking the fight to him on that battlefield, whereas Kevin Owens, I mean, that was his domain the first time around.
Yeah.
So seeing this pushback from Sami Zayn, I think they want to show a greater sense of equity in terms of their mental footing in this rematch come the next TakeOver. So I feel like, that small discrepancy of, hey, he has a rematch, can be easily, disregarded for the sake of the grander story they're trying to tell here.
Right, and that's exactly why it was only a nitpick and not a full-on heel.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's about it. But hey, since we already started talking about it, do you want to get into our next segment?
Absolutely. So let's roll right on through to our NXT review. And yes, as Ashton was alluding to, we opened this show up with Kevin Owens. And he, gets right to the point. I mean, big Sami Zayn chance tonight. Sami's going to kill you. So, Kevin Owens, great that he's working with Sami Zayn again to get that heat because, usually the crowd's very divided. There are a lot of Kevin Owens fans. Still are. But it just shows, what they've been doing with Zayn has been working to get that babyface sympathy. And Kevin Owens says, I was this close to taking care of a problem. I was this close to ending Alex Riley last week before, I was interrupted by Sami Zayn. And he said, I got my fists taped up. Sami, you're not going to be able to jump in from behind this time. I want to fight. And, he pretty much calls Sami Zayn out. But Sami Zayn doesn't answer the call. Ashton William Regal answers the call.
Absolutely. And General Manager Regal comes out and he basically tries to tell Owens that just because he's the champion, that doesn't mean that he runs the show. William Regal is still the General Manager. And Kevin Owens can't go around making demands like this. But Owens, I love this too. He goes, with all due respect, and then he basically proceeds to say, screw off, Regal. I called out Zayn. I don't give a crap about what you have to say. But I said with all due respect.
Yeah, that was so great from Kevin Owens. I think he is one of the most entertaining heel personas on TV right now. I mean, regardless of any brand or anything, he's just so consistently good in how he carries himself and how he looks down at others. It's always an entertaining point of the show when he's on there. But then Sami Zayn does come out.
Yep. But
and
Regal does kind of stop him. He kind of cuts him off at the pass and says that it's not going to become a circus again like it was last week. But he does, however, make this a lot easier. He sets up a match. He says, this is the easiest thing I've ever done. You want to fight with him. He wants to fight you. I'm making this for NXT TakeOver on May 20th, and it's going to be a title match. And Kevin Owens takes offense to that. He says that he wants to fight Sami, but he hasn't earned a title shot. He won't put the title on the line. It's that simple. And then this is kind of the point where Sami Zayn takes over, and this was an amazing promo here.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the general theme being, I know you need this match, Kevin, because, for our entire 12 years, coming up together, it's always been you that's been in my shadow. I mean, everything you've done, they might as well put an asterisk by it because I did it first. And, really just preying upon Kevin Owens' insecurities that you're not your own man. You've always been feeding off of me. And I just love it. And then, Sami Zayn, I think the best part of this promo, he spits Kevin Owens' words right back at him. He says, I fight for a prize. And you, Kevin, you're not the prize. The prize is the NXT Championship. So sure, I'll fight you, but that's got to be put on the line. And Kevin Owens finally does concede. So again, it's really showing the reversal of fortunes, if you will, that Sami Zayn is playing this kind of psychological warfare when this was Kevin Owens' wheelhouse the first time around.
Yeah. And another thing that he did say that I feel like it's something that Kevin Owens has said before, maybe not. He said, at the end of the day, you don't want to live the rest of your career in my shadow.
Right.
I love that moment. That line was like, oh shit, these are fighting words right now.
And he did. He laid down the gauntlet so much so that the crowd was kind of, heckling Owens with, you got told.
Oh, were they? I didn't even catch that, but that's awesome.
Yeah, they were. So, everybody and their mother felt like Kevin Owens got scorched there by Sami Zayn. Yeah. So, I think that just created the atmosphere where Kevin Owens is like, oh, hell no, that little pissant did not just talk that way to me. And he's like, fine, you got your match, but it's going to be the last because this is the biggest mistake you ever made. So,
yeah, and if you think the first time was bad, wait until you get this beating.
Exactly. So Kevin Owens still trying to maintain that intimidation factor, but you could see that Sami Zayn, he's wearing him down a little bit.
Yeah, so there's definitely, I would say, mental edge Zayn right now.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So anything else you want to say about this segment, or you want to move on?
Up next, we had a backstage segment with interviewer Greg talking about NXT Philly in May. They're going to Philly, they're going to Pittsburgh, they're going to, I think, Ohio, New York, New Jersey, Maryland. They're kind of floating. I think they might even be going to Chicago too. They're kind of just floating around in that Midwest, Northeast sort of region. But he kind of gets interrupted. And I love that they can do this too, because I can't do this. If more than one person's talking, I can't force myself to talk over them. But yeah, Enzo, Cass, and Carmella walk into frame, and they're all talking kind of to each other at the same time without listening to what any one of the other two have to say. And yeah, it's very interesting, but at the end of the day, it just sort of ends with her being isolated.
Yeah, they walk off, leave Carmella to her own things. She's going through her phone, sitting on the couch. Then, of course, just as Enzo and Cass exit stage right, Blake and Murphy enter the picture. And, they get, they sit on the couch with her, albeit they make a very athletic entrance to the couch, show-offs. And they're like, oh, Carmella, what's going on? They're trying to put the moves on her again, as has been the story last few weeks. But yet again, we see Carmella, rebuke them. And it seems like a very forceful rebuke. That's kind of what surprised me, is that you think maybe she'd have a little bit of give, given that they've showered her with gifts and flowers and all this stuff in the preceding weeks. But no, Carmella was like, hey, nobody insults my boys, but me. Get out of here, get out. And Blake and Murphy, they oblige. Where it becomes even more interesting, though, is that then Alexa Bliss enters the picture. And she says, Carmella, don't you think, if you're the princess of NXT, that you should carry yourself with a bit more class? And Carmella, of course, takes offense to this, and she says, mind your business, and she face palms her, and she walks off.
Yeah, she just kind of shoves her face. I was like, oh, yeah, that's such a Carmella thing to do.
Absolutely. So then you have Blake and Murphy. They're checking on Alexa, and they say, hey, you all right, Lex? And she says, I'm fine. But you can see those three standing together. I don't know, Ashton. Could this story be taking a deviation that we didn't see coming? Because you and I have been thinking, Carmella's going to backstab Enzo and Cass. And maybe now she's clearly expressed to Blake and Murphy that she's not interested. So could they be looking elsewhere to kind of even the odds?
Yeah, it's definitely, I don't know, it's definitely a strange dynamic because for the longest time, I've had it in my head that Carmella's going to turn on Enzo and Cass, cost them their tag title match, and join Blake and Murphy, and they would become kind of like a power team. I don't want to say couple because it's two guys and one chick. But I don't know. Maybe now we're going to get our Alexa Bliss heel turn that we've been craving for so long.
I mean, I think I said from her debut, it was either her debut or her second match, I just felt like she'd work better as a heel. So this is going to be very interesting for me if they do go that route of where, hey, Alexa Bliss has been kind of chumming it up with the NXT Tag Team Champions, and they've formed kind of this trio where she represents them kind of as the valet or whatever. And then we see that big standoff at NXT TakeOver, which, if that's the case, I mean, to me, I still think Blake and Murphy would retain, but now kind of taking out the fact that Carmella is now going to betray her friends, it does kind of equalize the playing field again. Now I'm not so sure, dude. So this is an interesting wrench thrown into everything.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not exactly sure what's going to happen here.
So yeah, I guess we'll just have to wait and see how it all unfolds, but until then, I've really got nothing more to say on the issue, so...
All right, well, up next, we get another backstage segment. This time it's a Devin Taylor interview with Bayley, who can't find her things. She doesn't know where her shirt is or her headbands, and she's panicking, and she needs to find them. So she just kind of walks off, and as she walks off, Emma walks in wearing Bayley's shirt and headbands.
What? Yeah, Emma comes in with all the merch. Says, can Bayley, compete without this? I mean, doesn't she need this? And she says, well, I better go give them back to her. So, that Emma, she's scheming something. I'm enjoying this heel work. I can't wait for her to fully commit to it, which I guess you could argue maybe started tonight, given how things, fell out. But, yeah, I'm enjoying this. And if this is leading to a rematch between Emma and Bayley at TakeOver, I'm all for it, man. This is going to be good.
Absolutely. All right, up next, we had our first match of the night, actually, I believe. I just realized I skipped over the first match of the night because I saw Enzo and Big Cass, and I immediately thought that was the backstage segment. But as it turns out, in between the Devin Taylor interview and the whole schmoz with Enzo and Big Cass and Carmella and Blake and Murphy and Alexa Bliss, we had a match, Enzo and Big Cass versus Wesley, Blake, and Buddy Murphy.
Not a bad match. I just feel like, and I don't even mean this in a bad way, because I feel like every wrestler, every tag team has a certain formula, but Enzo and Big Cass, their matches have started to feel a little formulaic to me. Like, Enzo just gets, kind of tossed around, then Big Cass comes in and he's the House of Fire. Enzo may try and help, but it'll fail. And only when, Cass is really assisting him do they really kind of really gel as a team and pick up the W. But even given that, I think it worked very well here. I love Blake and Murphy as a team. I know you do too. I think they gel so well together, from the attire to just the entrance to everything. And yeah, they were kind of just pushing Enzo around a little bit. At one point, he just got tossed. It's like, get this trash out of here. Cass just continues in those bursts to really show his athleticism for such a big dude. I mean, you and I, in a much earlier episode of NXT TWitWoW, very early on, said, like, what a stud this guy looks like. Almost Edge-like, I guess, in his star potential.
Yeah. Yep.
And I still feel
more
that
so
way.
Even, I would say.
Yeah, more so even now. I feel like if they ever commit to Cass doing singles, he would really thrive in that role.
Yeah.
But that notwithstanding, what cost these guys is still Carmella. They're still fixated on her, but she says, no, you disgust me, this, that, and the other. And Buddy Murphy turns around and he eats a boot from Cass, tags in Enzo. Enzo does the assisted kind of splash that he does that they've been doing for the past few weeks, and they've pinned the NXT Tag Team Champions. Now, again, this goes back to the whole Alexa Bliss thing. After the distraction from Carmella cost them a match, and she hasn't expressed any interest, you would think that the NXT Tag Team Champions would go and look elsewhere if they're really looking for a valet or what have you to join them in their ranks. But yeah, Enzo and Cass get the win. You have to imagine this is going to lead to a rematch or takeover for the tag titles, and we'll see if Blake and Murphy can withstand the onslaught. So
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't necessarily know if I like the fact that the tag champs just lost this easily, just because apparently Buddy Murphy cares more about flirting and showing off with Carmella than winning his match. But I mean, I don't really know what the purpose of this was, because to me, if Enzo and Cass would have lost, they still would be number one contenders, and it would have proven that the champions are the champions for a reason.
Right, because didn't they even win a match sometime back that kind of established them, like, yeah, we're on this roll? I don't know if it was the Vaudevillains or what, but I felt like they had earned that stature long before this. So I can definitely understand your concerns with that. I just hate how even on NXT, which I'll have to credit them, it doesn't seem like it happens often, to be fair, but even they kind of succumb to that model every now and again of, oh, you beat the champion, you're automatically the contender instead of, the actual freaking champion. So, I mean, they use that to get here. It's kind of disappointing, but, we'll get our rematch, and hopefully it'll be good at TakeOver, so.
Absolutely. All right. Up next, we had our Devin Taylor interview, but then after that, we have Bayley versus Dana Brooke. And yeah, I mean, this wasn't horrible, but it was a Dana Brooke match, so.
Yeah, I mean, what can you really say about it, really? I was just hoping that it wouldn't be as cringe-inducing as last week.
And it wasn't.
Yeah, definitely. I think this really proves what kind of a worker Bayley is, and that is one hell of a worker, because, I think she pulled out a decent match from Dana Brooke here. I think, it was smart. If you're going to put Dana Brooke on TV, which I don't know why when I'm sure, I mean, you could make blue pants more prominent. I mean, they were even chanting for her at one point in this match. I'm sure, maybe there are other women waiting in the wings. I don't know the situation there. But if you're going to put Dana Brooke on TV, it's great that you put her with one of the more over baby faces on the roster, so there's that automatic investment there. And you have Dana Brooke get that heat. Again, obviously she needs a lot of work. I feel like Bayley carried her to a decent matchup. But, of course, my interest came, towards the finish. Bayley's on the top rope. Her music starts up. Emma comes out in all of her gear, that being Bayley's gear and the headbands and everything. And she starts, throwing stuff around and taunting Bayley with it. Bayley gets caught with Dana Brooke's finisher. That forward Death Valley driver, the throw of the Hun as we know it from King Cuerno, and she gets the pin. So already in her second match on NXT, she's beaten Bayley. Putting aside the fact that, Dana Brooke's stock seems to be rising way too high for my comfort and way too fast. I mean, look at Bayley here, now even losing to Dana Brooke. I mean, if they're really going to build her back up eventually for a program with Sasha Banks, for me personally, it's going to take a lot of convincing, especially after a loss like this, distraction or not.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's a lot of damage done to Bayley here, but can she make it back? I don't know. But then afterwards, you're just kind of looking at Emma. Emma actually high-fives Dana Brooke. I hope that those two are going to be settled.
Well, no, I guess here's my thing, John. I think when you say that Bayley's going to need a whole lot of repairing, I think that's what the Emma feud is for. I don't think that they're going to use the Emma feud to try and put Emma over. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I completely agree. I do see Bayley going over here for the record. It's just, if I were booking, just kind of do that quick fantasy plan for a second, I would have her, go through Emma, go through Becky Lynch, because she's the current kind of fixture right now in that picture, and then go through Charlotte, because I think her beating Charlotte one-on-one would be a huge deal given their history. And then you could have her face Sasha Banks and say, I've gone through all this, and now I know because I've gone through all of that I can beat you. Just really legitimize her here, because I think she's going to need quite a bit of work from where I'm sitting.
Yeah.
That said, I am looking forward to this. at TakeOver. That'll be 2 women's matches, both of which I think are of a certain quality. So I'm feeling really good about the female representation on this card.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, with that said,
do you think we're gonna end up with 2 or 3 matches?
With the women, I think only 2. Yeah, I think just 2. So.
You think we're just gonna get Sasha versus Becky and Emma versus Bayley?
Unless, are you kind of maybe alluding to that we may get Carmella versus Alexa Bliss potentially? It's like the third match.
And the crazy thing is, we could get that, or we could get another Dana Brooke match to kind of introduce her to the national audience.
Oh God, yeah, we could. But Alexa Bliss and Carmella look so much better by comparison. I guess the potential for that always does exist.
That's the thing, though, dude. Is like there are so many interweaving Divas storylines going on right now, and I shouldn't say interweaving because most of them don't have anything to do with one another. Just so many different Divas storylines going on right now. I mean, you have the Divas Championship. Where has Charlotte been? She's got to debut on the main roster sometime soon.
Oh, people have been saying her debut is imminent. Some people are even saying, like, you know, I don't know what's going to shake out with the Divas Championship. You have to imagine Paige is going to kind of occupy that picture in the summer, but pretty soon Charlotte will be a fixture in that picture, and good God. But yeah, dude, I get what you're saying.
We never got a one-on-one Paige versus Charlotte match at NXT.
That's true. That's true. I mean, the only interaction
Charlotte did pin Paige in a tag team match before, but never one-on-one.
Yeah, and that's just that was the exact point I was getting ready to make myself. So there's definitely money in that if WWE would take it seriously on their main roster, which I'm not entirely hopeful, but we'll see. But as far as NXT, I mean, I totally get what you're saying. There are so many distinct kind of stories going on that it'll be interesting to see how they resolve them all. But for now, I would be confident in just, again, 2 women's matches on this card, both of which, again, I personally find to be of quality. I know you do too. So, yeah, let's keep it up, guys. That's awesome.
Absolutely. All right, up next. Where were we? Okay, up next, William Regal made an announcement. He said that the contracts were officially signed for Zayn Owens, but he also announces a number 1 contenders triple threat match between Finn Balor, Hideo Itami, and Tyler Breeze for May 20th.
Dude, there are 2 things that make me incredibly excited about this. 1, Tyler Breeze may finally, if he wins this match, get a one-on-one opportunity for the NXT Championship. Because keep in mind, when he beat Sami Zayn to become number 1 contender the first time, he never got a one-on-one match.
Yep.
Secondly, the guy he may be standing across from in that one-on-one match, your garden might actually bear legitimate fruit. Because if Kevin Owens can retain the title, we will finally get Tyler Breeze versus Kevin Owens. Which you may want in first place. So
I'm telling you, man, it might happen.
So, dude, I'm telling you not to reveal my hand, but right now, I won't make it a formal prediction, but where my fan side is going, where my favoritism is going, yeah, Breeze and Kevin Owens win their respective matches, and it's all your fault. So I hope.
Oh, absolutely. I will take any fault that I possibly can.
Just something tells me that match would be absolutely magnificent, with Kevin Owens not giving a single shit attitude, and Tyler Breeze being Tyler Breeze.
Yeah.
It's just
that's all it needs.
Exactly. But after that, Ashton, if I'm not mistaken, we do get Hideo Itami versus Adam Rose, correct?
Yes, we do. And as far as the match goes, there's not really a lot to speak of, but what was interesting to me is that the crowd was so into Adam Rose, and they were singing his theme song, and they were all happy to see him back on NXT, but as soon as the bell rings, it's Hideo! Hideo! Like a freaking light switch.
Yeah. And Adam Rose, you could just probably hear him say inside, I thought you loved me!
Yeah, I know, right? It's so sad.
The love was a lie. But you know what? That speaks volumes to how beloved Hideo Itami has become here in Florida and at Full Sail University, because they were chanting for GTS. They were into everything that he did. You know, I wouldn't be surprised. I know the crowd loves Finn Balor. They love him to death. But I wouldn't be surprised if maybe their hearts were with Hideo, because he hasn't gotten an opportunity at the NXT Championship yet.
Yep.
Like he's the only guy in that matchup that hasn't gotten a chance to taste, an opportunity.
No, I mean, if you say one-on-one matches, Tyler Breeze.
That's true too. Yeah, Tyler has a very gorgeous-looking comeuppance. All right, with that NXT Championship and the whole picture. So, but yeah, Hideo just runs a rough shot over Rose here. I mean, it's not even worth like giving Rose any credibility. Like he did like some of his usual stuff, but Hideo really didn't give a crap. He just dominated. He ends the match with the shotgun kick, and he moves on. So, yeah, he's probably looking very much forward to getting his hands on Tyler Breeze again and locking it up again with his friend Finn Balor at the same time. That's going to be one insane triple threat, dude.
It's basically going to be the final four from that tournament, except without Neville.
Yeah, more or less. That's a great way to put it. I'm looking forward to it. I mean, here's to hoping. I mean, for me, when I look at it on paper, this could be the first NXT matchup to make my match of the year list. Either that or the Kevin Owens Sami Zayn rematch. I think one of them is going to be on there. Or hell, I got to say this just as a quick aside. Mick Foley apparently said he has high expectations for Becky Lynch, Sasha Banks. So who knows? You know, like I just feel like one match on that card is going to make it to my list, and I think this triple threat has a very good chance. I love all three guys, so here's to hoping.
Absolutely, yeah. All right. Up next, we have Becky Lynch versus, now I want you to correct me if this is wrong, Sara Dotson, or was it Dobson?
It was Dobson.
Okay.
And you know what? Not bad.
Not bad at all. I mean, this and the Itami Rose match were both basically just like squash / exhibition sort of matches.
Right.
So, I mean, I don't really have a ton to say about this match. I will say, though, we didn't really cover it because it was so brief and I forgot to write it down, but earlier on in the night, Becky Lynch did cut a promo about how she isn't here to be second best or third or fourth, and then she kind of went on with that. And that whole promo, I am so impressed with her promo skills. Like, I didn't know she had it in her, man.
No, I'm telling you, Becky Lynch is one of the more... What's the word I want to use? I'll say intriguing.
Intriguing is the exact word I was thinking.
Mental uplink for the win. But no, she's.
Why don't you?
But she's definitely one of the more intriguing women's prospects on the roster because I think there's so much she gets right, and it's like you and I have said over and over. It's the little things, but even that. Here's the thing: Becky Lynch, I think, has become so good in the areas that we've already praised her for. That the things that I'm like, if she could just massage that out or work through that, doesn't even really bother me anymore. Like, I probably wouldn't even think about them if it wasn't for Corey Graves' little feud at the announce table with her. She's awesome, man. I love it. I love how she says she came to be the best in the NXT Women's Division. This is her time. This is her empire, and it will be. And Bex T. And you can't even really say that she's like a babyface. Like, they are both heelish in their own ways. I mean, Sasha definitely owns it, and Becky, maybe you're just a little sympathetic because you want to see Sasha taken down, but she's no angel. So that's what makes this match, I think, so compelling, is that there really isn't that definitive face in here, just two women that are so confident in themselves and want to be the best. And you know what? That's good enough for me. So
yeah, can I just say, like, I really, really want Sasha to get a full-blown face turn, so that when Dana Brooke inevitably gets pushed into the title picture, people know who to cheer for.
How I'm going to respond to you with that is, I think you're going to get what you want, but probably not the way you expect it, because I would see that if that time comes, the crowd's going to turn Sasha face. Guaranteed. I would be shocked if any segment of the crowd would side with Dana Brooke over Sasha Banks, because Sasha has paid her dues. She's been there so early on, and she got a pop for her championship win. And you could see, like, even now when she goes against more babyface-esque people, or people that have put in the time and earned the respect, that there's more of a duality between Sasha's ratchet, no, she's not. So I feel like if you put her against somebody like Dana Brooke, who somebody feels like, oh my god, she's terrible, she's an outsider, this and that, and hasn't really put in that time yet, yeah, Sasha's going to be turned babyface by that crowd, guaranteed.
Yeah, that's what I mean, though. Like, I know it'll happen inevitably. I just kind of wish that they would preemptively turn her so that the crowd can really get behind her, so that they know that they're going to cheer for her, rather than just kind of improvising cheering for her.
Right. I get exactly what you're saying. You know, just kind of move it along a little bit, just kind of nurture the process. And
Yeah.
hopefully they will.
It's like somebody's losing their balance, but you should still give them that little shove just to make sure they fall.
Exactly. And you know that they're on a collision course because Sasha, what I like about her is that, she always picks her spots when to confront somebody. There'll be times when a certain contender will be talking smack, and I'm like, oh, why didn't Sasha show up? But then she always says her piece, and you have to imagine she, in a kayfabe context, heard Dana Brooke say that her arrival was the birth of the women's division, and Sasha Banks has got to be somewhere thinking, oh, hell no. No, I am the champion. I am the queen. She will respect me. And, yeah, the crowd's going to be behind Sasha in that endeavor. So I would like it the same way you would. Let's lay the groundwork. Let's do what traditional storytelling and wrestling has us do. But I'm going to trust the crowd to do the job that NXT may be tentative to do and give that wonderful woman that face turn so that she can take Dana Brooke down and teach her some respect.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, she needs it.
Absolutely.
Sad thing, though, is that I'm projecting that Dana Brooke might be our next NXT Women's Champion.
Well, it's certainly not going to be Bayley at this rate.
Yeah, no kidding. All right, up next, we actually had a backstage promo from Rhyno, of all things, calling out Baron Corbin, which, I mean, if there was such thing as like the opposite of a heat of the night, like a shine of the night maybe, this would be it, because Baron Corbin is finally getting an actual feud. I love it.
Me too. I mean, I've got to love it because I've really been clamoring for it.
Yeah.
So, Rhyno says, because Baron Corbin, I don't even know if we touched on this. He had that vignette earlier where he said, like, what makes him tick? And that's taking away the hopes and the dreams of all the superstars in NXT and just destroying them. And Rhyno says, well, Baron, I've learned what makes you tick tonight. You know what makes me tick? Bringing pain to others. And Rhyno, he isn't just the past. He's the present and the future, and then there's just this silence and we cut away. So you know that Rhyno and Baron Corbin now are on a collision course for TakeOver. And you know what? I feel like this is Baron Corbin, at least in the context of an actual feud, kind of whatever, his first real credible opponent, because Bull Dempsey we always kind of treated as a joke, and Rhyno is kind of like a similar build, like he's a bigger guy like Bull Dempsey, but he's a veteran and he's really established. So I think this is a bigger deal for Baron Corbin, and I'm just happy to freaking see it, man. So I'm curious the kind of matchup these two could put on at TakeOver.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of like, apparently Corbin works relatively compelling longer matches. Like he gets the opportunity to work longer matches at like house shows and stuff, and they're good. I've heard good things about them. I'm just looking forward to him working one with somebody that isn't known for working good long matches, like, Adrian Neville, and who else was it that he lost to? Was it Finn Balor or was it Hideo?
I think it was Finn Balor, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, but like that's the thing. Like those guys are known for working good long matches. I want to see Corbin work one with a guy that isn't necessarily known for that, and that's exactly what Rhyno is. So to say my curiosity is piqued is an understatement.
Yeah, really glad you feel that way, because I don't feel like Baron Corbin is just going to be able to look past Rhyno and crush him like he's done. Well, even Bull Dempsey when they had their program, because Baron Corbin handled him with relative ease. I don't think that's going to be the case here. I think this is going to finally be Baron Corbin's first real test. So I, too, have my curiosity piqued, and let's just do it, man. Let's see what these guys can do together.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. All right, up next, we had our final segment. Actually, let's do this, because I have no clue when it actually happened because I didn't write it down, but I do remember at one point Bayley did cut a promo. She was in the back looking for Emma. No one could find her, but someone was like, oh, hey, what do you want with Emma? And she actually answered them and gave like a full-on promo, which was really awesome because it seemed improvised. I love the sort of format that they used to kind of create this interview.
Yeah, you could see that she's, worried, exasperated, like, what happened, what's going on in my life. Somebody propositions her about it, and she says, well, I thought me and Emma squashed this last month, but I guess not. I'm going to take care of it, but first, I'm going to get my stuff back. And then she walks off. So, hopefully, when Bayley beats Emma, which we presume is going to happen at the next takeover event, she just kind of washes her hand of everything and says, you know what, I want to be NXT Women's Champion. I'm not even saying turning heel, but just like kind of resetting, building herself back up and getting there. Because, man, Bayley's got to be so tired, man. Coming always this close and always losing. I mean, she got pinned in that triple threat. Emma's still messing with her. Things just aren't going right for Bayley at all.
Yeah, she's having a rough month.
Yeah, without question, man.
Or 3.
Yeah.
All right, well, now we can get to our main event of the evening. Kevin Owens is on commentary for this, and it's Sami Zayn versus Alex Riley.
When you started with saying Kevin Owens is on commentary, I was going to be like, you're right, Ashton, that is the main event. But yeah, not really much to say here with Sami Zayn and Alex Riley, because honestly, my focus was more on Kevin Owens' commentary.
Yeah.
I felt like he was great here. Because commentary just kept asking him, things related to Sami Zayn and his actions in the match. And he's like, well, shouldn't you just be focusing on me and not associating me with Sami Zayn? And at points when they were trying to talk about Alex Riley's offense, it's like, really, you're going to talk about Alex Riley? Like, Sami Zayn, I get, he's number one contender or whatever, but Alex Riley, really? And it's just like, the whole way Kevin Owens handled this was absolutely hilarious. I know you loved it, dude, so give me some of your highlights. What did you think about Kevin Owens on commentary?
Yeah, I loved it. Are you kidding me? It was so good.
Oh, the indifference he showed, like, the whole thing. And then I think my favorite line was from Kevin Owens was, I won this championship and I defend it and I do the things I do for my child and my family, and nobody ever wants to talk about that. No, all everybody wants to talk about is what I did to Sami Zayn. It's just like Kevin Owens is just so done with everybody. And when he warned Byron at the beginning, well, with all due respect, I was disrespected by an announcer the last time, so if you don't disrespect me, nobody's gonna fly over the table. So he's so good, dude. People have been, and you know that a guy is well received and people are so excited for him when they're already like fantasy booking how they want him to debut on the main roster, and some have said, I want to see him feud with Brock, or maybe answer John Cena's US Open Challenge. And whatever this guy does, it's just going to be so freaking good, especially if he carries this disposition over with him, because he's just so good right now. Yeah. Like he is such an amazing heel, dude. It's amazing. Like I said, I think he has one of the best heel personas on TV, period. Like, I love Seth Rollins, but I'm sorry, like, the Authority's kind of wearing on me a little bit with all this Kane stuff. I think Kevin Owens, for me, is the number one heel right now in terms of just personal taste and everything. More objectively, maybe you have more of a debate, but speaking for myself, Kevin Owens is the shit right now, man. So, that said, not really much to say about the Sami Zayn-Alex Riley matchup. I mean, it came about, actually, because of Sami Zayn's generosity, because Alex Riley's such a tool. Regal, you have to give me a third match with Kevin Owens. I know I can beat Kevin Owens. No, you're not Roman Reigns, and that's actually a compliment to Roman Reigns. At least Roman Reigns somewhat backed up his claims. It wasn't.
Well, yeah, and plus I was going to say, like, you can't even beat Sami Zayn.
Yeah, he didn't look like he was on the track to doing it either, because Sami Zayn was in control when Kevin Owens made his interference, and
and frankly, now let's be honest with ourselves, Alex Riley is going to be off TV for a while.
I was just getting ready to say, it's so funny to me, Ashton, that you and I were talking about Becky Lynch and Sasha Banks and how you've been kind of asking NXT, can you lay the groundwork for a babyface turn? Because it seems like they're more concerned with making Kevin Owens babyface, because he just powerbombed Alex Riley on that ring apron, and my God, was it glorious. He got what he deserved. And this isn't even like, look at John trying to be a douchebag, which, yes, I understand how that comes off. But Alex Riley lost twice, got dominated, snuffed out, wants to take a tone with Sami Zayn, who saved him the week prior. Oh, excuse me, was I talking to you? Oh, you mean, were you talking to the guy that saved your pathetic ass? Yeah, I think you were, actually. So I was happy about this. I think Kevin Owens did an amazing public good, and we should be thanking Kevin Owens right now as I speak.
So are you going to?
Yeah, thank you, Kevin Owens. Thank you so much for taking out the garbage, because now I can really enjoy TakeOver knowing that Alex Riley won't make it to the card, just like he'll never make it to the top, and just like he'll always stay behind the starting gate of his career. Stay in that cage, Riley. You're almost as pathetic as Zack Ryder. Almost.
Well,
Almost.
I don't know. I mean, Zack Ryder doesn't rage.
Yeah, and you know what? And I can't believe I'm saying this, but Zack Ryder, all things considered, was a former tag team and U.S. champion. I don't think Riley's ever won a championship. So, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, Riley, you might be even worse. And you associated with The Miz, who's only awesome now. So, yeah. Glad he got taken out.
Yeah. It's been good, Riley, but it's going to be even better now that you're out.
How's that ring apron taste on your spine, jackass?
Oh, wow, that was brutal.
I did kind of feel bad for Sami Zayn, though, because Kevin Owens got a little bit on him. And Kevin Owens, it was like he knew what it was like to be me watching a Zack Ryder beatdown, because the look and elation on his face and the laugh he let out when he finally got to powerbomb Riley. It was like when you really have to go to the bathroom and you're finally able to have that sweet release. It's like he was holding that in for weeks and he finally got to do it. So Kevin Owens, I think, is in a good place right now.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I mean, nothing really more to say than that. So anything else you want to say about how, all this fallout or whatever, or you want to move on to our next segment?
Next.
All right, high spots and low shots, and just because I'm loving how my heels feel against his pride and dignity, I'm going to keep digging him in there. My low shots, Alex Riley. You punk. You're not even in the same league as Kevin Owens or Sami Zayn. I'm actually surprised you're granted to breathe Kevin Owens' air. And, well, it looks like he drove the air out of you, though, after that powerbomb. So just enjoy being my low shot, because it's probably the only quote-unquote championship you'll ever receive. So enjoy that.
Championship.
Yeah, I'll refer to it.
Championship.
Yeah, I'll refer to it as such, just for the sake of mockery. So, yeah.
All right, well, I'm going to give my low shot championship to Bayley, because she had a really crappy night, and it makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely it does. I mean, I knew if I didn't pick her, you certainly would. So, way to be clutch there. It's been a rough It's been a rough time for Bayley, and yeah, she certainly deserves it. Definitely a very logical choice.
Well, you just manipulated me like a marionette.
But my high spot, you know what? I'm gonna say that my high spot's Becky Lynch. Had a great promo tonight. Yes, she did squash a virtual no-name, but to Corey Graves' point, her submission wrestling just keeps getting refined. She has that leg submission now, and she beat Sara Dobson with an armbar type maneuver. I'd say it was kind of like Pentagon Jr.'s armbar finisher, but I think it was a slight modification. So I think this is going to come down to Becky Lynch's submissions versus the bank statement. I almost kind of wish that the match between these two was a submission match to kind of play on those things. But yeah, it's going to be a very interesting dynamic, and Becky Lynch just continues to roll on, and her confidence is at an all-time high. So she's my high spot.
Absolutely. Good call. My high spot is going to be, you know what? Man, I almost want to say Sami Zayn, but he did kind of get attacked there at the end. So I'm gonna keep it simple, and I'm just gonna say my high spot's Baron Corbin, because he got featured a lot tonight, and he's finally in a real feud.
Yes, great choice, dude. I love it. Love it. With that said, since we have no other extra segments for NXT reviews, do you have anything else you want to say about tonight's episode, or can I take us home?
Take it home.
All right, guys, with that said, this has been NXT. This has been TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John. That's my cohort and commentary, Ashton. Guys, be sure to comment and subscribe on YouTube. Who do you think is going to emerge as the next number one contender for the NXT World title at the next TakeOver event May 20th? What do you think about the build of the Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn 2 matchup for the NXT World title? Be sure to take the conversation over to Pweetoff, an amazing pro wrestling group, some of the most incredible wrestling fans you'll ever meet. Or if you want to discuss wrestling with me and my cohort and commentator here, be sure to take that conversation over to the TwitWoW subreddit. And we will see you again for our Monday Night Raw review, where the question will be posed, how exactly is Seth Rollins going to combat his claustrophobia as two men are closing in on his WWE World Heavyweight Championship at Payback? Until then, tune in and peace out.